I have 3 Halloween cards for you today using some Halloween Rub Ons, some coordinating dies for that, and some really fabulous patterned paper. One of the cards is a gatefold. Hey everyone, it's Joy here and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, so here's this gorgeous Willow Lane patterned paper. You can get it A2 size or 6x8. It is absolutely stunning. There's so much fun Halloween paper in here. There's stripes, there's solids, there's fun patterns and pumpkins and ghosts, and it's just fantastic. I love this paper, and I do use I think all my paper except for a little bit of black is from this patterned paper. Then we have our Spooky Critters rub-ons. You get 2 sheets here, and we're going to use that house and the scarecrow. Then you have the Willow Lane rub-ons. Now, there are some dies that you can use to cut out some of these critters on here, and I'm going to show you how I did that. Super, super cute. Those little pumpkin houses are darling. So see those little critters on the top? We've got some dies that we can use for that. And then you can also use the dies as standalone dies too. So you can build your critters or whatever. So you've got your pumpkin head die, which is going to die cut out this guy. I used him. This is, oh, I don't know the name of this one, you guys, but it cuts out that cat. You have the cute little teddy bear. I am going to use the witch fox as well. So this die cut will die cut that out. I don't end up using the pumpkin house for this die, but it does look like that bottom rub on there. I was just seeing you could die cut the house, but it would die cut off the extra stuff from that rub on, and you want that. So I don't end up using that today, but I do end up using the super cute spider webs die for one of my cards. So like I said, I made 3 cards. One is a gatefold, and so lots of fun products from scrapbook.com, you guys. I'm loving these rub-ons. I think they're awesome. So I have a piece of that patterned paper, the A2 sized, and as soon as I saw these rub-ons, I loved this little kind of creepy house, and I thought it would look great against this kind of textured looking black cardstock. It's not textured, but it looks like something's going on with it. I thought it would be great to place this scarecrow over it. So we're going to create a scene with these rub-ons. I did a video not too long ago with some other cute little rub-ons, and I'm just totally digging these. Like, this is a great way to make cards that you don't have to color, and you don't have to die cut, even though I'm going to show you that you can. But you can layer them and they can create a fun scene. So I've got that scarecrow, and I'm also going to use the Happy Halloween sentiment, and then there's some fun little white stars that I'm also going to use. So now that I'm getting my background placed, I just wanted to get my layout right. I am going to take the little popsicle stick and just rub this, burnish this down really, really well. And then when you start to lift that top sheet off, just go slow, because if some of your image comes up with your top sheet, you can just gently lay it back down and rub it, and it'll just go right in place. It's really fantastic, but look at how pretty that looks. I am just in love with it. I'm going to trim out my Happy Halloween sentiment, and I'm going to lay this down, just kind of see where do I want the sentiment, where do I want this pumpkin scarecrow. I didn't want him to cover all of the windows, so I lined him up good, and I'm just going to be careful and mindful that I'm just only going to rub on that plastic where the image is, not all the way off the edges, because it could pull up the image behind it a little bit. So something to just, think about when you are burnishing. Sorry, my head's in the way. Pressing that down. I do think my sentiment is a little bit crooked, but shh, don't tell. But I just love that. Then I thought I could use some stars at the top, but you could totally leave that out. But don't you think this is just a fun little scene? Reply in the comments for me if you can. Have you guys ever used rub-ons? And if not, would you want to try them? Because I'll be honest, before I was kind of like, maybe a little bit of a snob about it. I don't even know. Like I just was like, maybe, maybe not, but I love them. Okay, so we're going to put that aside. We'll adhere that to a card base in a little bit. On to our second card. Look at this striped pattern paper and that candy pattern paper. So I'm going to die cut a circle. I'm using Honeybee Stamps, Sweet Stacks circles, or Sweet Stacklet circles, something like that. And this is where we're going to have a little scene. I'm going to take my next size up circle, and I'm using the magnetic magic mat, or magnetic mat from scrapbook.com. And if you can't order it yet, just click the notify me button, because it should be coming out at some point here soon. And so I die cut a larger circle because I wanted to have a shadow behind that striped paper. Then this candy paper is just A2 sized, and I'm going to use Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink to just add a little bit of aging to that circle and to the back pattern paper. Let's adhere that smaller circle to a larger circle. Now, I loved all the candy. I'm still using the Spooky Critters rub-ons. I loved all the little candies and cupcakes in here. So we have 2 cupcakes that we're going to use. We're also going to use the Trick or Treat Sentiment, a little eyeball candy, jack-o'-lantern like sucker, and a candied apple. And again, we can overlay them and create a little scene. So I've got my 2 pumpkins here, or excuse me, 2 cupcakes is what I meant to say. One is a pumpkin, one is a cute little grave. I want to overlap the eyeball. I just want to get it in a right spot so it looks, like it's actually sitting there. For some reason, every time I moved it, I'm like, nope, that doesn't look good. Nope, that doesn't look good. Nope, that doesn't look good. And then finally it looks good. Then we have our candied apple. There's 2 of those. There's a few little candies. There's little buckets of like a jack-o'-lantern bucket full of candy. I think there's a couple of those, like just super cute stuff. We're going to lay out that little jack-o'-lantern sucker. I do want to add some stars, although on camera you can't really see them, but in person you can see them. And it just adds a little something extra next to it. They're very light, but I liked it, but you totally could leave that off. Cute, cute. Then our Trick or Treat Sentiment up there at the top. I just used my lines to make sure that this sentiment was straight, because I really do think the other one was just a tiny bit crooked. Isn't that darling? I just love it. I really am trying to use more pattern paper and really getting into that, and it's just super fun. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow underneath the candies and stuff like that, because it just needed to look like it's grounded. So I did a C2 and a C1 marker, and that just gave it a little something so it's not floating in the air. That kind of thing bothers me, but if it doesn't bother you, you don't have to put it. Foam adhesive behind that circle. This will also be adhered to an A2 size card base. So these first 2 cards are super, super easy and quick. The second card the third card is not hard, but there's more things to it. So I took my half sheet of cardstock. On each side, I scored it at the 2 1/8 inch mark, and I'm going to fold it in on the score lines because we are going to make this gatefold card. Super, super easy. So it still ends up being an A2 size card base. Then the striped paper from the A2 sized Willow Lane patterned paper, I'm going to cut that in half. So again, at the 2 1/8, I will ink blend that with Vintage Photo Distress Oxide, distress the edges. I think sometimes these words just get caught in your head because this is what you do all the time, and then it just is like on autopilot and comes out like that. Or it's perimenopause, or maybe it's both. All right, let's adhere. Let me try to figure out how I'm going to adhere this down. I wanted to make sure the edge, the open edge, the free edge is straight. So I did have to trim a little bit off that excess there, but then I can add the next one over, and this will be the front of our card. I kind of just really like this striped paper. I like that the stripes are kind of wonky and not perfectly straight. It most definitely feels Halloweenish. Okay, so now I want to put some paper on the inside. I'm showing here that I picked a gray, but I actually ended up picking the same black that I used on the first card. I traded that out, but I did trim this off a little bit so it would fit nicely inside and you could close the front flaps. Then do you guys remember that cute little spider web die? I am die cutting that from some black cardstock one time, some mixed media cardstock. And then here's our little pumpkin head die. There's two dies in this. There's a larger and a smaller die. I am using the smaller die. I am die cutting that from some white cardstock. And I would suggest doing the die first, then adhering your rub on. Because I just knew that if I did the rub on first and then tried to line up the die, that I would mess it up. And I'm telling you, this way, I feel like is way easier to do, and mentally you won't be stressed out about it. So I cut around that. I'm going to use some reverse tweezers and I'm going to line it up. I decided to kind of hold it in my hand because then once I get it perfectly lined up, I can just hold it down with my thumb and then take the little popsicle stick and burnish it. So let's line that up, and it lines up perfectly. I mean, like, it fits perfectly. Whether you line it up perfectly is completely up to you, but it fits perfectly. So now that I have that in place, I'm going to burnish just like you would any other time. When you peel back the top layer, you will notice that there is a little bit of a clear film around the edges, and you'll see that I just use my fingers to kind of push it back and fold it around the die cut. So I'm going to peel this up. Oh my gosh, it's so, look at that. It's so cute. It's a die cut, you guys. So I'm just folding back that little bit of that edge. And now we have this cute little trick-or-treating pumpkin head, which quite honestly to me, it looks a little bit creepy if I'm being honest, but I like it. And I do end up using the witch with the fox, but I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, with some more of that patterned paper, I am using the Trick or Treat from the pumpkin head dies. And I'm going to use the word trick. I didn't get the dot for the I. I think I lost it somewhere, or I left it on my magic mat. I think that's what I did. But I'm going to place that over the spider web, and then the rest of the sentiment will be inside of the card because we want a reason why we're going to open it as part of our fun card design. So I love this spider web. I want to glue this on just the right side. No, excuse me, just the left side. That way it can open, but I'm going to adhere that down. And then I love that kind of yellowy orange, rusty color, and it matches, kind of really matches the pumpkin head die there and rub on, which I think is really kind of fun. So I'm just letting that liquid glue dry, and then I'm going to add the word trick to the center of that. I'm going to open this up to adhere it down. I think I do. I want to make sure that I don't glue it to the other side and we can't open it up, because then what's the point of a gatefold if we can't open it? Cute, cute. So this was my original plan, was just the pumpkin head trick-or-treating little dude, and then I was like, no, I feel like it needs one more. So I did pick the witch fox die, and I'm just going to do the same thing, and I will speed that up. I think I'm sped it up just a little bit more because since you've already seen me do one of them, I'm going to speed it up a little bit quicker. But again, use the smaller die. There's kind of like a shadow die that you can put behind this, but I'm using the smallest die. If you did want to use the larger die, you could, but you would have a nice, little white edge around it, which, I mean, obviously there's not a problem with that, but I love that this just fits perfectly to this. So again, holding it, lining it up. This is how I felt it worked better, but everyone does their own thing. And then carefully burnishing it. And then when you peel off that paper off the top or that plastic, just gently press down the little bit of clear film that you'll see around the edges and just kind of fold that back around your critter. And you have this. Doesn't that look so much better? He needed a buddy, and it's really cute. So liquid glue to the rescue. I would have loved to have popped these up with foam adhesive, but they were inside the gatefold, so I didn't. But that's okay. I guess I won't be too mad about it. So I do want to glue the word treat a little bit wonky. I felt like it was the way to go. It turned out really, really cute. So again, remember, comment down below if you guys have ever used rub-ons. What do you think about them? Or if you haven't, would you like to? Because I'm just telling you, I was kind of a snob about it, but I really am in love with it. And I think it's super, super fun. And you get some really beautifully detailed images, which I think is really cool. Look at our cute little guys. I am going to finish this off with some black pops of color from scrapbook.com. I felt like it just needed a little something extra on the front. Orange would have been fun too. I just didn't have the right orange. Let's open this card up and check it out. It's so cute. I really like this card. I think it turned out just fun and very Halloween-y. Let's take a look at the other two cards. These guys were just super easy to put together. Super fun. I love this candy card. I think it's darling. I love that little bit of distressing. And then of course we have the scene card. And I love this one. I think this one might be my favorite. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope you enjoyed all of these projects on here. I hope that I was able to inspire you with these cards. Thank you again for all of your support and for commenting. If you could, like this, comment, share it with your crafty friends, that would be great. And a huge thank you to my patrons. And if you want to become a Patreon, there is a link in the description.